Hi, lovelies. I'm going to do a quick pre record just because I'm winding down from work. It's been a long week and I just want to have a really relaxing night. So we will pick up maybe tomorrow. I can try to fit a live in and we can chat if you guys have any questions, if you have any, video ideas that you want me to talk about. I've noticed some of you guys did throw in the chat, which is fine. Someone asked me to go into Ramadan. I'm like, I don't know if I'm the one to do it just because I was raised Christian and I got a touch of, the Muslim culture, but I wasn't, part of any groups where, I was following their holy days. So, we try to stay with the Old Testament as far as like, the Ten Commandments but just looking at things, with common sense, right? It seems that in this generation, we're doing things in extremes, right? Go hard or go home. I totally get it, right? And I put up a short earlier. We'll go into it, ways to budget. I have learned so much as, I've matured. I have learned to, not throw my money into disposable items or just in garments. Or if I do want good quality pieces, like I was showing you this top, this is actually really well made. I actually look for sales. I'm really keen on that. So we'll do videos, talking about that. But I am really keen on the different seasons that I purchase. I think we went over that and stuff. So sales are big. I know a lot of people are thrifting and all of that, but unless you're paying to clean the clothes, I rather buy things. Obviously I know which brands are good. I'm not gonna, get throwaway clothes or paper clothes just because it's a good price. So that's with life too. You have to learn how to sift through the bullshit. And I love this quote, right? We've all heard it. Life's a bee, right? Because at the end of the day, you see what's important, what's not, right? I rather invest in things that matter or save more. Like, it's not what you make, it's what you save, they say. And it's so true because I've been around people who were high earners and, didn't manage it, right? And others who were modest earners who knew how to conserve where it mattered, didn't feel like they, had, money wasn't burning a hole in their pocket. And, they had a little common sense, right? So it's really important, to kind of look at things like, get what you need, but keep it moving, just like, pack light kind of thing, right? Because you can't take it with you. And so we talk a little bit about, different things on my channel. People don't know how to really, size my channel up, but I try to talk about everyday things, life, situations, whatever, and everything that comes with it. We can talk about loss sometimes, health, just, or, more laid back, informal conversations and try to find the moral lesson out of it, and I do like reading the Bible, although I know that there is some extreme cases. It's either you're dealing with groups who are totally atheists, right? Or you're dealing with those who almost have like a real, I would say, combative spirit when it comes to that. And they were just waiting for a reason to use it to exploit or to put people down or to hate on other nations or, people that are just not them, and not realize that unless you have x-ray vision and you can see everything, someone's blood inside and out, know everything there is to know about everything about history, you really can't come on with like this conviction that some people do where it's not warranted, because the more that you educate yourself, right, and you just take your time with it, you just know that, hey, this is not an easy task to actually go through this life. It's not an easy task. Not just that, but to stay a decent person, right? A human being, because, man just has a way of taking something pure, right, and making it putrid, right? Taking something innocent, right? And, someone said today, this world is kill or be killed. And it's sad that, here we are. So I do, try to find the silver linings, and I, am God's advocate. I do look at things in a way where it can be most fair, because just like we have earthly judges, well, in this realm and even online, people already make themselves the judge, the jury, the executioner, and all that. They'll take like a little piece of what you said, or what you look like, and they'll try to put whatever in their head, and they don't understand anything about whatever, and they actually are blaspheming. They're actually, they convict themselves with what they say, right? Because you're just like, yeah, I'm pretty sure, what I'm saying is right. I'm pretty sure that, even if you knew how to do something, or you figured something out, or, achieved a learning curve, if you become like a total, a monster about it, or really arrogant about it, it kind of like takes its shimmer away, right? Because at the end of it, it's like, you can only enjoy it for so long, and other people, can come to your level too, and are you to act like that when you're around peers too. So again, and when you see things on TV or whatever, you'll see, every day someone's dropping dead, and it doesn't matter what side of the aisle they're on. If they're the white piece or the so-called black piece on the chessboard, it really doesn't matter. So, people make themselves look silly when they don't have understanding. So it's like at the end of it, it's like, yeah, life's you know what. So I was reading a little bit. It's interesting because I was sharing a little bit with some people too, that I started off in the Christian church, that ended up doing a couple of semesters in different Bible academies and things like that, broaden my horizons too. And there's still a dichotomy in that. It's disgusting, right? On the so-called day that they deem so holy, right? They want to come up and be like, oh, anyone that says anything about so-called God's people, this is a real hot button when it comes to this topic, because, people use that term loosely. There's so many verses where it says, a lot of intermixture, nations living amongst each other. And, if you have something that it could have been watered down in different ways. It could have started off on the lighter side, ended up darker, or, vice versa, things like that. So, and in different groups that you'll go in, it gets really divisive when it gets away from the message of like, being on a path where it's like, somewhat of a moral compass. I think we can all agree that, everyone treating people like they would like to be treated, all of these tenets are so important to keep, society going. And the Constitution was made wholly for people of high character. So the more we can foster that, the more, freedom is attainable for all, right? And so many times in history, right, there have been situations where, people have migrated, and maybe that was biblical, where they were, being freed, or, allowed to travel to and fro, things like that. And in these different groups, they have different ideas of who's who. So I try to not to like stay too much in the carnal, right? Where they say, I just try to be like a smart, sassy Sabbath school teacher in a way, right? So I like to give my little contribution and let people gnaw on it, right? Because people can get real pompous and like, anybody who tries to disagree with us or this, they're going to be destroyed. We want bloodshed. Like I'm hearing, on a day that people are supposed to, teach each other, right? To be so-called civilized, right? I was just like, okay, enough is enough of that, nonsense, right? You teach whoever, but like just knowing that that's out there, it just makes people, real skittish about like interacting too much. And, when you hear that, kind of, propaganda or, theology that is being pushed in certain arenas, right? So, it gets really dicey on here, where people, they start their own, school of thought or church, like, oh, I guess anyone can start one up, right? Even if, they didn't really care about anything, but in their mind, this, sometimes, they can be full of pride. That's like, me finding out, I'm attached to a royal line, and all of a sudden I'm walking around with a freaking tiara every day, trying to act like, I don't have to, do anything in society, right? So, a lot of people who have taught some of this stuff, right? If you know the story of Cain and Abel, that's an interesting story, especially too, since it was Abel who had the animals, right? And Cain was more of the gardener, the vegetarian. But then when you go to the story of Jacob and Esau, it's Esau who was like hunting. Isaac really loved his venison, his deer. And Jacob was more of like probably the one that dealt with, the animals, maybe with the sheep, and, maybe gardening at home and just, tending to the house and the landscape in there. So, when some groups, right, they'll teach, you'll hear certain terms, like Edomite, Esau, Egyptian. Oh, how it's, great to, wipe out this, race or that because it's biblical. I mean, that's the premise for many wars and many atrocities that's going on now, right? So, regardless, we're not going to touch all that. I'm just going to show you a couple of verses because, God speaks to us in different ways if people want to believe it or not. So I was led to this. It was on my heart. So if you go to Deuteronomy, chapter 23, okay, verse 7 to 8, right? There goes 7, right? I'll have my 7 shirt tomorrow. Thou shalt not abhor an Edomite. So when they say, oh, we got to hate each other, oh, and like take certain bits of stories, or when certain abusive men act like women have no rights, or they need to be controlled and dominated and stoned to death, like whatever, right? they're not looking at it like that's what the people call extremists. Like when you go to, okay, there is no God, there is no anything after, to, you know what I mean? Oh, okay, now down to your skin color, to this. Well, they don't know what they're talking about because it's deeper than skin deep. Anybody would know that, right? And just because someone has the same skin color doesn't mean that they're from the same line, okay? So that's important for everyone to figure out. And even with the differences, it tells you here, you should not hate an Edomite. So he's talking to Israel, which is interesting because my mother married a gentleman recently. My father passed away, God rest his soul. And she married a guy, and my stepfather's name is Israel, right? So it's just coming back, right? And I have the Ra in my ancestral surname, and it all comes back around. So however we got it, there was something to bring it. So if people want to say, oh, it's based on something nefarious, okay, I don't know anyone that, just like when I meet someone with the same surname, I'm like, oh, we probably cousins down the line. They don't get it. I'm like, how else would you get that? Either we're married into it, or it, that was your inheritance, right? It was passed down to you. So, and RH negative, that's a whole other topic. People want to say fallen angels. Well, that could be a pure bloodline. That could be, a clean bloodline, for all people know too, because those type of people have to eat a very clean diet, and they just very peculiar, very highly spiritual. And no, like, because I know some that are just really amazing. And, and regardless, that's like saying if you have one drop of, so-called white blood or black blood, like you're tainted, right? Already now, unless you can pull apart and see that, oh, you're 100%, 100%, that already right there is a misnomer. It's already like causing people to have a severe, trauma, and like splitting them up into like really basic. This stuff is like, it's so outdated, right? And I guess you just have to have a certain vantage point. And it's like, sorry if I'm not the right messenger, too effing bad that so many messengers in this world were born to be taken out because they probably were, going to come into a certain topic that would have been, really, really groundbreaking or really helpful to other people that were studying it. And, that's why certain people who try to do that, they're always getting like so much attacks and, so many things to come up to make them not even do it, right? Or, it's just the nature of it too. That's why I'm like, at least I can just put something up. I wasn't even going to do it. I'm like, that is the spirit again, trying to, that's what it is, right? It's kind of like, okay, something trying to slow you down, and yeah, it's really like that. So thou shalt not hate, I'll make it like layman's terms, on an Edomite. So some people that are teaching the Bible say, oh, that's just white people. Some people realize that they were black Romans, they were black Germans, and all of this stuff, black Portuguese, okay? That's why probably some of us can tan really well. I know my grandfather, he passed away when I was really little. He was like an Indian color, really, tan and dark. So, and it is what it is, right? If you see my aunt, she looks almost Indian, almost what they would call Muslim. Like she has like a nice darker complexion. And my cousin too. I mean, and then I have others who are more fair skinned, and they married in and did their own thing. So I mean, that's a whole other thing. How it shows how family trees, how they come together, and it's people with like similar cultures, even though they're divided in different parts, they're renamed over time. You will see similar stories, similar cuisine, similar background, just similar interests. Right. And, it's not appropriating anything if that was already what you were raised with and you were raised around. So, and, people share each other's culture all the time. I don't hide my stuff. I'm not so weird. Like people ask, oh, I like this about you. Oh, I'll say, oh, I got this here. I'm just that type. I'm not going to be like, oh my gosh. You know what I mean? Don't try to copy anything I do. Imitation is the highest form of flattery. We do that to each other all the time. Let's not play. So, for he is thy brother. So they were twins or fraternal twins, right? And they say sometimes if you have like the reddish in your hair, that came from the line of Edom. Do your own research. Who knows? Because thou was a stranger in his lands. The children that are begotten of them shall enter into the congregation of the Lord in their third generation. Okay, so when people like, oh, hate on this one's from this tribe. It's like, all that at the end of the day is going to be washed away. Okay, and you hear guys with the name Jose, Joe, made me think the book of Hosea, right? Dealing with this guy, great guy, but he just doesn't believe in any of this stuff. But yeah, he's really into rock music. And I'm like, dude, those songs are so spiritual. I'm trying to break down certain lyrics, right? I'm like, they kind of tell you, I'm like, are you really listening? Like, but, and it's like a church service. They're giving up their hands and all of that. It's crazy. But you heard of the tribe of Ephraim. Some people say those are, it can be from like certain Latin cultures. The tribe of Ephraim. Then you got the F, certain last names, right, with the F too, so I can see a pattern. So we're going to go into Hosea. I'm going to make this a short video because when I do uploads like this, when I use the screen recorder, it takes forever to upload. This is probably going to take like over an hour, so it's probably not even going to be up until like 9 p.m. So I apologize, and I'm going to put my hair up. Take care. Well, I did have my clip. I'll just do this. I'm just going to put my hair up because I'm going to get ready to settle in. I'm actually washing my floor. So yes, I've been like on the go all week, still cleaning. Most High has been giving me so much energy to just do what I need to do. So I've been really blessed. And I think, in a way, when you hear so many things happening to people and you just see that you're put in situations for a reason, that wow, maybe it is to talk about certain things. I mean, it's funny, I'll get picked on like, oh, you're going to be a nun. No, I can't talk about certain things around you. I'm like, I'm a regular woman. I'm a sassy Sabbath school teacher. That's what I say. I'm like, I try to break stuff down in a way where it's easy to understand and not be all high and mighty about it when I talk about it. Like, aha. And get into their like really preachy and condescending role. So Hosea 7, like, the word, the name Jose The whole book is really good, but I'm like, let me look up Hosea chapter 7. It's just something, just, of course, the something could be the, Almighty, but there's a lot in this chapter, so you guys can read this. Bible verses go into law, goes into, health, spiritual health, all of that stuff, right? Because I was really vocal against vaccines, got shadow banned a lot for it, fought against the mask mandate, fought against the forced injection. So during that time, all my knowledge was building up for a reason, because I was ready to do so at the time when it arrived. I was doing my research a few years before. Don't mind the boots. It's always that Timberland. Me and my Timberlands, right? So it led up to me needing that information. So when the time came, I was able to use it. So I was really grateful for that too. So I'm just going to read this to you quick. So Hosea chapter 7, when I would have healed, this is coming from God, right? Because people want to say, oh, we're so precious. Anyone even looks at us sideways, they're going to get torched. A revolution can't happen without blood. I'm like, wow, this is really getting ugly for some people. And it's like, again, they put themselves in the position of God, and it's like they don't know how to take a step back and just let things play out and show a little bit of humility. So it shows like their hate that like spills out, and it's like, okay, that's cool. That's why I know certain people that I would take seriously, and certain people that they act real cartoonish about it, and just use it as a way to just, continually mistreat people that they already didn't like in the first place, right? In their mind, they think it's a license, like God didn't create everybody. You know what I mean? And a lot of the angels were so-called white, right? Wasn't Noah albino? I love throwing that right in their face. And was compared to the angels. So the angels were here first. If that's the case, they can look at it like, and that's probably why some of them do, right? Because they look at humans like, oh, you guys do all this stuff, and then, think that you're so special, right? You get a pass. Even the angels didn't get a pass, and they had more, abilities. They were more qualified to do things. They helped with creation. They have deep knowledge of high mathematics. That's why a lot of people like John Dee worked with Queen Elizabeth and all of them to get that knowledge, right? Inside trader knowledge, like they do now. So, and like when they talk about Egypt and all that, it's on the dollar bill, and a lot of the stuff they do is, a descendant of what they were doing in the past, right? Even the song from Pink Floyd, "Brick in the Wall," is talking about the bricks, building the pyramids. When I would have healed Israel, then the iniquity, this is another word for wicked, of Ephraim was discovered, and the wickedness of Samaria, for they commit falsehood. Oh, and they forget to talk about themselves. We got to look at the man and woman in the mirror. That's all it is at the end of the day, because life is a, what, then you die. It's like, and what? You know what I mean? So we're wasting so much energy on here. I want to make it count. I want to bring people to stuff that it's like, here, go read for yourself and use it responsibly, right? And a gun is only good as the person behind it, right? Or they can turn into like a homicidal maniac, pretty much. So, the wickedness of Samaria, for they committed falsehood. And the thief comes in, and the troop of robbers spoils without. And they consider not in their hearts that I remember all their wickedness. Now their own doings have beset them about. They are before my face. They make the king glad with their wickedness, and the princes with their lies. They are all adulterers, as an oven, I love the metaphors, heated by the baker, who ceases from raising after he has kneaded the dough until it be leavened. In the day of our king, the princes have made him sick with bottles of wine. He stretched out his hand with scorners. For they have made ready their heart like an oven. While they lie in wait, their baker sleeps all the night. In the morning it burns as a flaming fire. Verse 7. They are all hot as an oven, and have devoured their judges. All their kings are fallen. There is none among them, like devoured their judges, like the messengers, the people that were like, hey, you know what I mean? had an honest viewpoint that was rooted in truth, things like that. There is none among them that calls upon me in the day of trouble. Like, who they calling upon? They're too busy, fighting, making, content and all that, instead of just like turning to God and like using that as, some type of, kind of like playbook to share with people that they can do too, right? Because it's beyond, one group or another, right? If they're so spiritually inclined, they would know that. So it says here, Ephraim, this can be what they say the Latins, it could be, Latin can be any Latin speaking country. Even Portugal, I didn't know, can be considered that too. Puerto Rico, certain South American tribes, probably Brazil. People really break that down, but Ephraim, even in that name with the PH, that comes a lot in different Portuguese and Spanish, and I'm not sure if Italian falls under that too, but it already says that in verse 8, he has mixed himself among the people. So the mixture, you see different stories, and it was already happening, right? Everyone likes a little milk in their coffee. What can I tell you? Ephraim is a cake not turned. So a little bit, uncooked, right? Not as, tan or brown. Strangers have devoured his strength, and he knows it not. Yes, gray hairs are here and there upon him, yet he knows not. And the pride of Israel testifies to his face, and they do not return to the Lord their God. So when people ask him, like, what's all this, so a lot of it is, self-inflicted too. Like, for those who think like that, for others, it's not going to apply. But if you listen to song lyrics, all this stuff from rap to rock, you're going to see that a lot of the verses come up and, where the inspiration was from too, right? From these stories. So, Ephraim also is like a silly dove when doves cry, without heart. They call to Egypt. They go to Assyria. Look up the different practices there. Very, we don't realize, in our modern era that a lot of the stuff, if you, even in Hollywood, they have like the Assyrian arch, the temple. I'll have to show pictures. I actually was there a few years ago, just on vacation, and I had a picture of the arch. I didn't realize that it was the exact one with all the images on it. When they shall go, I will spread my net upon them. I will bring them down as the fowls of heaven. I will chastise them as their congregation has heard. Woe unto him, woe unto them. Verse 13, that's my number. And that song, Like Woe, it's like an older song, right? Like Woe, look it up. Woe unto them, I forgot who sang it, but they had these same words in there. They have fled from me, destruction unto them, because they have transgressed against me. So who did it? Others, the boogeyman, Casper, the friendly ghost? No, they have transgressed against me, though I have redeemed them. Yet they have spoken lies about me. So how many times maybe someone could have gotten into a car crash? How many times did, you could feel like you missed death by just a millisecond? And, in different ways, people are redeemed, right? They, get out of a situation. They say, that term, by the skin of your teeth, right? Don't realize that could have been divine intervention, and then say God don't exist, and just, try to speak for God in a crazy way, right? Using it to just maybe be a bigot, or maybe, a racist, or, what I'm trying to say? Like, and for many millennia, the wrong people would use it, to enslave and hurt others. And then when you hear those who claim to be affected by it, turn around and say that they would do the same, if not worse, it's like, well, that's why God is the ultimate judge and jury, and he's not going to tell us this whole playbook. Even with every book released on earth, we still wouldn't know. He didn't even give the angels all of his playbook. Why would he? He probably, would have been overthrown. Would any owner or, king or whatever really give his subjects like all his plans and all his secrets? That would be suicide. If I can figure that out, it should be obvious. So we work with what we have, right? And kind of deduce with our, if our brain is functional. And they have not cried unto me with their heart. Just like children, can, you could give them space to make their own mistakes and stuff. And, that if they just came to you with an open heart, you would do so. But sometimes they'll have so much pride. They'll, try to take things on their own or turn to the wrong people. You know what I'm trying to say? And who's going to care about them more. So, I mean, it's if you look at it in like a parental situation, it makes a lot of sense too. And they have not cried unto me with their hearts when they howled upon their beds. They assemble themselves for corn and wine, and they rebel against me. I hear moonshine is made from corn. Am I right? Not sure. So I have bound and strengthened their arms, yet do they imagine mischief against me. Hello? Do they tell you that in church? They return, but not to the Most High. They are like a deceitful bow. Their princes shall fall by the sword, for the rage of their tongue. This shall be their derision in the land of Egypt. Welcome to America, guys. Exactly. So when you hear things on the news like this one, it's like the chess piece. It'll be 1 minute, it'll be this one, the next minute. That should tell you already. You know what I mean? That, God has his own plan, but it tells you right there. Hosea makes me think of like people with the name Jose. Okay, so more biblical connections. And yeah, there's just so much there. And I did like Deuteronomy because I'm sick of the Esau Jacob bullshit. Because, you can go on it forever. But look up Deuteronomy chapter 23. That was a really good one. And the verse 7 came up and it says, don't hate your brother. You know what I mean? It's just one of those things, right? Where people will look for things to be like, okay, aha. Now, you're dead to me because of this freaking, 5,000-year-old story. Or, it's really getting to that point that people are, making groups where, they're nothing more than, their own black ops. You know what I mean? So, I mean, hey, you do what you got to do, but I want to keep, my lessons where, I could, talk about a situation. I could just, we can talk about, random occurrences, in Hollywood. I mean, in the stories, you're always going to hear about some tragedy, someone dying really young. And even people who are so-called in the truth or spiritual and think they're so awake and call out Hollywood, they still worship people like Tupac. They still worship people like, you know what I mean? I'm just like, whatever. I mean, gosh, if you didn't know that one was a sellout a long time ago, like, are you all right? And like, what kind of lifestyle, are we promoting? It is what it is, right? It's like, I can like people's music to a point, but am I gonna like wear their image on clothes? Am I gonna, you know what I mean? Have a poster with them and all of that and like make a to do and always feel like I have to reference them like there's some type of, prophet or something. I'm like, when I say people don't need to be perfect, I don't mean like actively, trying to be, you know what I mean? Try to be grimy. You want to at least move in a way. Some people will say, oh, you're too serious. You're too this. Like, oh, you're really professional. I'm like, yeah, I don't feel like I have to, speak dirty or whatever. Unless I'm really mad, I stub my toe and I still say something like fudge or whatever. I just think, it's a way of life. It's a way how you coach your mind to work where your default settings shouldn't always be to that level. So it's a spiritual thing. It's more how you move on the inside because you can have whatever color, you can have whatever look, but if your inside don't really match that or you're, you know what I mean? It's just, it comes across, it's definitely, it's not the clothes that make the person, it's the person that makes the clothes, right? When I talk about things like clothes, whatever, I'm just trying to help people find quality stuff, but know that you can be on a budget. You don't want to squander any of your blessings. Say you get a good job, you're making a little bit of money, you want to save it. You don't want to just be like, oh, okay, now I'm going to buy all this expensive shit just to say I have it. I mean, I've had things that are pricey that are still with tags on it that I haven't even worn yet. It's like, you have to be practical or whatever. Who are you trying to impress, right? yourself or strangers. It doesn't matter, right? And at the end of the day, if that stuff does not have a good resale value or whatever, you just wasted your time. So I do like to talk about stuff like, selling, reselling, and all of that. But we'll go into it. I'd rather find things that are really good quality, that are marked down, in and out of season. And instead of buying things that were worn already, unless people are willing to dry clean and all that, I'd rather just get like new stuff, right? And have inventory like that. So we'll go into it, what you can do outside of work, how to fund your YouTube channel. I'm buying more accessories, more things for my computer. So it's just been great to be able to work and add to it. But if you guys want to support, some of my efforts, I'm here giving you guys, free education, support the movement and my Kadesh Gardens. You can also help fund my Kadesh Gardens on Cash App, Kadesh Gardens. My picture is on there to help people learn about holistic medicine, how to heal themselves, biblically with different herbs, different, things that I do to be healthy, how I stop my routine in the day, and give you guys, some tips and all that. So I do have a Facebook page. I will be uploading more as I have more time. I'm going to let you guys go. Hope you have a great day, but just know, life is a B, right? Some people say life is a ball, but you know what? No matter, even if you think people have it all figured out, everyone deals with challenges. They're going to deal with aches and pains. They're going to deal with disappointment. They're going to deal with heartbreak. They're going to deal with rejection. It just comes in different forms, right? And if you just put your faith into this world and, your mortal life and just things which, has a timestamp on it, of course, you're not going to feel very fulfilled. You're not going to feel great. And then you come on these spaces and a lot of people try to get some spiritual connection with each other. I guess it's not going back on. That's fine. I'm going to let you guys go anyway. And then you're getting like weird messages like, okay, this one gotta die, because like they can really screw people up, like taking certain verses, and then they're no better than the commercial churches that are out there, right? You hear that song, Bad Company. Well, try to keep good company, and you and what you represent and what you say is like a company, is like a business, right? So, it's up to you how it's gonna materialize and it goes forward, if it's going to be productive or destructive. All right, guys. So yes, thank you so much. Hopefully that helped. There was just a couple of things that I was studying. I was just led to some verses, and usually I used to come on Saturdays, just kicking you guys a few Bible verses. But some people, they want to hate on that, but you know what, that kept me grounded for many years. It just, and a lot of things that I already knew were right, like herbal medicine as opposed to big pharma, and how all that shit was poison, was confirmed when I started cross-referencing things in the Bible, and I had to debate with pastors and all that. Like, what do you mean? And break things down using my Strong's Concordance, my Bible dictionary. I mean, when I uncover something, like I'm a good, troubleshooter, conflict resolution type of person, because when I see something that's off, I like to try to correct it and do my due diligence. But, some people, you can show the truth. You can, take the time and show that you have enough love. And, I pour into my channel too. Some people, just won't appreciate it, and that's fine. I don't do it for them. I do it for those who do. I had someone bring up the Ramadan thing, and I'm like, I don't know if I'm the right candidate to speak on that. That might be someone who is raised more Muslim, but, I know that, I've read a little bit of the Quran, but I was raised more with the Bible, and, it talks about Passover. So I have more knowledge of just like the Torah and a little bit of the Tanakh, right? So I read it, cover to cover, and I continue to like reread it and stuff, because you can't just read it once and think, aha, I got it, right? Because you can go back and read it and have a different context. And especially as you get older, it's like almost like watching a movie that you watched when you were younger, or listening to a song after you've been through some things. You're gonna have a different vantage point, and it's gonna come across different. But just know, don't take this life too seriously, but seriously enough, right, that you guard your soul, your spirit. This is just for, my spiritual diamonds on here. And just know that, yeah, it's hard for everyone, and I just try to give us a space where you guys can learn something that you didn't know before, and that way you can use it to arm yourself. I wouldn't go into petty debates. Don't waste your time. But when some people are like, oh, they'll take verses and act like God's going to be like their personal bodyguard. And I'm like, yeah, he works with a lot of people who, get his program, get his message, right? And it takes a special one, right? Not everyone's going to be his so-called friend, like Abraham was called, right? That was like a deep connection where, the Creator called him his friend. I mean, that's a beautiful thing. And that Ra in his name, how I mentioned that was in my surname too. So there's a lot of influence, coming from different parts of the world. And even Europe and Asia, people migrated. People didn't just start here, And, I do know that it's a place that we were brought together for a reason. And I don't think just to like destroy each other, because that's more divide and conquer. If it's not men against women, it's women against women. It's all over the place. It's definitely, if someone was trying to, mess up a country, that's what they would promote, that kind of ideology, I would say. So I don't think all of that is divinely inspired. So be careful, but you guys are going to listen to who you want to listen to. Only, a real solid spirit, I guess, is just going to spiritually vet. And sometimes, smaller channels, it's harder traction because you'll get like the larger channels who already on whatever, platform and message that they're sending. So they already like, it is like a loyalty thing too. So people can be loyal to someone just because they have similarities, and it can be something as superficial as a physical one too. So it is what it is, guys, but check that out. Appreciate you guys. Have a great day. I will try to be on tomorrow for a live. If you guys want to support this broadcast, visit me on Cash App, Diana-7. And I also have Kadesh Garden. So we'll do educational, holistic videos. I'll put my notes together. I've always been doing that, even when we just do live. Sometimes it's just like working off of it. But I wanted to show you guys at least some Bible verses too, where when you really read for yourself, you're like, wow, you learn the context, and you can kind of like, put yourself in that perspective where you can, make a good assessment of the situation. And, when you read about God more and more, you see he's really level-headed, right? He wasn't just gonna, some groups just want to be like, yeah, he's gonna destroy all these people just for us. I'm like, total annihilation, no accountability. Some people really just have a lack of accountability, and they'll use religion too to try to hide behind that, right? And, do the little, cheap shots that way. Like, oh, for someone who is not studied, that's why, a lot of guys like I'm young and dumb because they'll just be like, oh, really? Oh, that's so true. Oh, okay. I better listen because you said so. Instead of reading for themselves, be like, really? I don't know if that's, that's how it was written, but okay. Instead of being more of like a team player. But I love going back to Adam and Eve. They must have been a team. It was, obviously it wasn't perfect, but it was written that way for a reason, because that's just human nature. They think they know everything. And look how it's going down now. Not too much different, right? But life is hard for everyone, guys. Try to see the silver lining even in the tough times. And if you can make it into an educational testimony, even better. But have a great night, guys. We can talk about whatever fashion, you name it. But hey, guys, as long as it's quality, because sometimes paying top dollar is just not always worth it. I've purchased junk, overpriced junk before too. So again, even with that, I'm getting smarter and smarter, right? So, it's all about conserving your blessings, appreciating it, and, this society will make you give it back as soon as you get it, right? So, thanks for watching, guys. Have a great night. I'll talk to you soon, and stay well. Bye. Are we out? Not yet? Okay, one more time, guys. One more time, guys. Gonna try to stop it. Oh, it doesn't want to stop today. Aw, doesn't want to let me go, guys. So cute. Let me see if I can turn the camera off. I can't believe we're at 45 minutes. Imagine that. It doesn't want to shut off.